I remember having a motorcycle, right? And I was about 17 years old and I was hanging out with my friends. And it was about 3 o'clock in the morning, maybe a little after 3, getting up to 4. And I was like, okay, it's time for me to go home. I woke up on my bike, riding. I fell asleep. Seriously, like, oh, sleep. This particular corner is known for taking lives. Just as I got around the corner. And that corner was a corner that I was afraid of when I started riding my bike. Listen, I don't know how God did it, but He did it.
Operation Destination. Got a situation. Operation Destination. Need a solution. Watch Healing Hearts TV. Operation Destination.
Welcome to Healing Hearts TV. I'm your host, Queen Melody. My whole life has been Operation Destination. I've had some situations, and boy, has God gotten me through. I woke up this morning, I was thinking about this one time, and God really saved my life. I mean, I was kind of wilding out in the early stages of life because of these situations that I needed, an operation on my destination. I remember having a motorcycle, right? And I was about 17 years old and I was hanging out with my friends. And it was about 3 o'clock in the morning, maybe a little after 3, getting up to 4. And I was like, okay, it's time for me to go home. And I mean, I was okay. I was okay up until the point when I reached this particular corner where I grew up. And the corner has taken many lives, believe me. This particular corner is known for taking lives. It's a very deep corner. You can't see around the corner. People either hit the corner or someone, they take the corner too wide and oncoming traffic hits them or whatever. It's usually a lot of deaths on that particular corner. But God allowed me to understand this morning when I was thinking about it, about the principality that was on that corner that was actually taking the lives. So I was quite fine. I wasn't tired of anything. But I remember approaching the corner, saw the corner. Obviously, I didn't see around the corner. But instantly, I fell asleep. I fell asleep. When I woke up, I was around the corner. Now, when you're on a motorcycle, you have to dip and you have to bam with the bike. And that corner was a corner that I was afraid of when I started riding my bike. I wouldn't say afraid, but every time I went around that corner, whether I went to or fro, I was cognizant about that corner. This night, I didn't get a chance to even think about what should I do. I fell asleep. Seriously, like, oh, sleep. And I woke up on my bike, riding, just as I got around the corner. Just listen, I don't know how God did it, but He did it. He reminded me about it maybe a couple of weeks ago. And He said, remember when you were on that corner? He showed me the night. And He said, I sent Archangel Gabriel to help you. I have been doing some studies on Daniel, right? And He said, that was Archangel Gabriel. I was like, what? And I just thought about it. Trust and believe it ain't no way that I could have fell asleep and dipped that bike and got around the corner. Now, I could understand if I was on a straightaway and I dozed off and looked back up and I'm just still going, like, yeah. But to get around that corner, you literally have to gas the bike to go up the hill. No, I had to gas and dip. And I did none to my recollection because I know I was asleep. But God got me through it. Why was God with me? Why did He even get me through it? Because I didn't know God. I knew of God. I didn't even trust God. Because of how my life had played out at a younger age, I didn't even trust God. I saw things that I should have never seen. I remember being 14 years old and telling a school bus of friends, like, I don't believe God exists because of what I have been through. So you may wonder, like, what is God's purpose for my life? Why would He want to use someone like me? Why would He want to use an addict? Why would He want to use someone that's been a stripper? Why would He want to use somebody that's murdered? Why would He want to use me? Listen, God has always had a purpose for you. He said that He knew you before you were in your mother's womb. Look at Saul from Tarsus, the persecutor of the Christians. God intercepted his life. That was a true situation, like, that everybody was in when it came to Saul. That was a true Operation Destination right there. Right? On Damascus where Saul was walking, he's on his way, like, he got letters. He was like, yeah, I'm coming for these people in chains and draw them back with me. right? And God intercepted him. A bright light shined on the Damascus road, and he was blinded, struck the ground face first. So after he saw the bright light and struck him down to the ground, God asked him, he said to him, Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me? And he said, who are you, Lord? He called him Lord. Like, he don't know Lord. But do you know there are times in your life when, like, situations happen and all of a sudden the Lord that you never knew, you knew was the Lord? Or you was just like, you knew that you had to say, God, forgive me, or Jesus, help me. And you knew that was where your help was coming from, even though you had said, I don't believe Jesus. But all of a sudden something happens and you're like, Jesus, help me. Like, because inside, deep within, no matter the philosophies, the ideologies, and the false doctrines that you're being taught, at times, like the detrimental situations that happen to us, Saul was blinded. That man was blind on that road. He didn't have nowhere else to go. He took him to the house where Judas was, and he stayed there for 3 days blind, praying to God. And God sent his servant Ananias to go and restore his sight. But in Acts 9 and 13, you see Ananias, he was apprehensive. He was like, Lord, I've heard many people talk about the terrible things this man has done to the believers in Jerusalem. 14 says, and he is authorized by the leading priest to arrest everyone who calls upon your name. But the Lord said, go, for Saul is my chosen instrument to take my message to the Gentiles and to kings as well as to all the people of Israel. And I will show him how much he has to suffer for my name's sake. He had everybody suffering for Jesus' name's sake. It's not that we're going through stuff because God is doing it. God isn't doing these things to us. When Saul was persecuting the Christians, it was not God telling him, go and persecute the Christians. Go and put them in chains. So don't believe that every bad thing that happens to you, oh, God did this. Why is God allowing this to happen to me? It ain't God. The devil ordered that. Ananias obeyed. He went over to Saul. And when he laid his hands on Saul and prayed for him, the Bible says that something like scales fell off of Saul's eyes. Do you know that we all have scales on our eyes before we come to the full knowledge of who Christ is? We could be going to church for years, knowing of God, but not knowing who he is to us, through us, in us, and who he's called us to be in him, to him, and through him, right? So we all have to go through that time where the scales fall off our eyes. And it was during prayer, right? I tell you, I prayed and I asked God, like, why did you save me? Yes, the scales have come off my eyes, but it was during that time of prayer when he told me he sent Archangel Gabriel to come and rescue me that day. So we have to pray. Get with God. Commune with him. You get on your phone, girls trip, vacation, whatever, and you're communicating with your friends. You don't have to spend any money to communicate with God. Just talk to him. Ask him the hard questions that you want to know about, right? And let him tell you. Ask him, what am I here for? What do you want me to do for you today? What is my purpose for today? You may not know your purpose for the rest of your life because he's a connector. Like, he connects the dots. He don't tell you everything one time. But what you went through 3 years ago, and you look at your life today, you realize you kind of had to go through that to get where you are now, right? So he's connected the dots, and he connects them perfect. But we have to stay under his covering, under his protection, under the alignment of his will. So what he does is corrects the error of error. God desires to correct the error of error in your life. The times when we were in error, the same way he corrected Saul's error of error and turned him into Paul. It weren't no one more zealous than Paul in the Bible. He even told Peter, like, Peter, you're doing this the wrong way. You were preaching, the good news, grace, and now you're going back and preaching the law? Like, Peter's probably like, who is this man? He didn't even walk with Jesus. He just came to this knowledge after Jesus died and struck him down blind. And he's telling me how to preach. He was so zealous. He was like, take me in chains. I don't care. Listen, they went through a shipwreck. He got out and he still worshiped God. He didn't say, God, why did you do this? Why did you do that? Why they didn't listen? The angel came and told me this time that we was going to be shipwrecked and they didn't listen. Why should I talk to them? No, let them die. Let these evil people die. No, he actually went to one of the officials' houses and healed his mother when he got to the Isle of Patmos. After the snake bit his hand, after they laughed at him and said he must be a murderer, he must be a sinner, the snake bit him, he shook that thing off, shook off everything they said. And guess what he did? He went on, he preached, he healed the official's mother, and then they believed. Do not be offended by the things that happen and the people say and all that type of stuff. Shake it off. Shake that snake, this bites from this snakes off. Those wolves that be biting you in the back. Shake it off. God's got a purpose for you right there in that pain. Ask God to show you the other side. Ask him to remove the scales that the devil's trying to put over your eyes in that moment so he can show you the other side. The purpose in the pain. And remain in him.
Operation Destination. Got a situation. Operation Destination. Need a solution. What's Healing Hearts TV? Operation Destination. Got a situation. Operation Destination. Need a solution. Lord, I